Hi, this is Todd Matus, and I'm a luthier here at Shar Music, and today I'm going to be answering the most asked questions on the internet regarding violin repair, cello repair, string instrument repair in general. What is the most difficult violin repair? Taking the top off a violin has a fair amount of risk involved, so I find that a scary proposition. Another one is putting a bass bar in. It's very, very exacting. Could take a while to do. Another one is resetting a neck. That's very, very difficult. What does a soundpost do? The soundpost drives the back, and the back and the top work together in a way that is very, very interesting to see in acoustics. One is doing the opposite while the others, they're in different modes. And the post is the way that this energy is conducted to the back. The back has a less of a role in creating the sound, but without that driver, you're never going to be able to fire up a violin the way you can. You can just charge it up more and more energy. Up to a point, that playability, that kind of thing is because of the sound post. Next question, what is rattling in my violin? If it's literally rattling in your violin, that doesn't sound good. It could be a loose bass bar, which would be very bad. One of the linings could be loose. You could have dropped a note from your friend inside. But if it's inside the violin, that's a bad sign. I guess a loose lining or a loose bass bar would, and that's getting expensive right away there. It could be a cell and sound post if it's rolling around in there, but that would mean that when you played it, it wasn't sounding totally different. But yes, if you pick up your instrument and there's something rattling right away, it shouldn't be your sound post if your strings are tight, but it does happen. What makes a violin produce noise? Well, the violin produces noise by moving. It's moving at extremely microscopic distances. The top and back are essentially shivering. And that shiver has multiple patterns in it that can be analyzed in acoustics. But it's doing everything at once. It's kind of a palpitating piece of wood, but on a micro level. And that's hitting the air, which is creating sound waves, which is what you hear. What do I do with a cracked violin? Well, you bring it to me right away. Don't play it anymore if you can help it. I recommend you bring it in as soon as possible. You don't want dirt or rosin getting into the crack. You don't want it to get caught. Let's say it's misaligned. You don't want it to get caught, and you don't want any more further damage, so you gotta basically bring it in the shop. Take it off the road immediately. Unsafe at any speed. Why are my violin pegs slipping? Well, violin pegs are one of the big everyday problems of violin work, string instrument work. They are friction fit pieces of wood, and they do distort, they do wear as they're getting pushed. You're pushing in as you're tightening the string, so that's constantly, eventually wearing the hole larger and larger. If it gets out of round, or if it's sort of like pinching in there, it's going to start to grab and not work well at all. And once it gets really out of round, it's impossible to tune the violin. So it's the fact that it's a wood-on-wood surface that has a certain lifespan. So this next question, why are string instruments so expensive? If the violin has an antique historical importance, which basically anything made in the 1800s would be considered significant simply because it's old, not unlike antiques. If it's in good condition, it's going to be more than a new violin just because it's old. Old has a cachet in the classical music world there's nothing that simply can't be superseded. That is what's important. Instruments should be like their original models. And so age matters, it's worth some money. It doesn't make the instrument better by any stretch of the imagination. Why are some instruments not worth repairing? Well, if it was never a good instrument, I suppose, why repair it? However, the other reason would be if you have a student instrument that you paid $300 for and the repair is $350, and you might as well go up to another instrument, really, unless you just really love that instrument. If you love it, it's worth it. But it's just because the inherent value is below the repair value, not like a total car or something like that. I've enjoyed answering your questions, the most searched questions on the internet regarding violin viola and cello repair, and thanks for listening.